Hello, hello. Hi, hey there, it's me, Just Variety. Or you can call me Jay. And wait, I don't think the audio is working. Or at least the background music. You know what? Wait, is it being heard? Oh yeah, it is, okay. Hi, hey there, it's me, Just Variety. Forgive the sick voice that I have right now. I'm still recovering from last week's sickness. But I did also really want to already continue streaming. That's why I'm pushing through, and at least we have a pretty simple stream today. However, I will keep it a bit shorter than usual today because not only one, I am sick, and two, I'm gonna be doing some other stuff later. So that's why I need to allot some time as well. That's going to be both my rest and to do some other Just Variety stuff. And I have a lot in the working in progress folder for Just Variety right now. So I'll see if I can hopefully finish all of them under a certain amount of time. Most preferably before college. So we'll see what I can do. And for this stream, what we're specifically going to be doing today is we're ranking Rubik's Cubes. You may have seen some YouTubers, some especially speed cubers in the speed cubing scene, tier some of their choices for Rubik's Cubes when it comes to speed, customizability, variety, price. But no, I may be just variety, but I will, as the twist of this stream, be ranking all of these Rubik's Cubes made by this person based on their names. And that's entirely it. The criteria is solely based on name. And as per usual in making tier lists, this is purely subjective. There's going to be 100% some bias. I can already see some names here that are very familiar. Them being familiar already gives them an edge when it comes to me judging their names. So let's get right on with it. I'm gonna go from left to right, reading style, top to bottom. And let's rank Super RS3M V2. I'm going in this blind as well. And by the way, the original idea why I had the original inspiration why I had this idea and then now doing it is because I had the joke inside my head that since I speed cubed, or not competitively, just as a hobby, I thought about ranking Rubik's Cubes. But not only do I not have these Rubik's Cubes, and a lot of people already did that, I thought, why not? Since I don't know some of these Rubik's Cubes, let's just go off of what I know them by, their names. The poor man's Rubik's Cube tier list, literally by name. That's why I also labeled the tiers accordingly, just to avoid any confusion, in case some people think, oh, so this cube is good. I don't think so. It's just a name. It's just by name, this tier list. So take this stream purely as a joke. And the Super RS3M starting us off, specifically V2. The fact that it has Super, in my opinion, already makes it pretty good. Because, as some of you may know, I am a pretty big fan of Super Mario. And this having Super, well, that should mean it's pretty super, right? But now I'm curious, what does RS mean? I assume M means magnetic. 3 means that it's a 3x3. And the V2 is pretty self-explanatory too. It should mean version 2, right? So it's a super, what's RS? And then it's a 3x3 magnetic version 2 of the Super RS3M, I would assume V1. But it having super already, I think it's a pretty cool name. Take a look at any other names here. I don't think there are any other Rubik's Cube here right now that has super in it. And that's pretty cool, I think. And yes, I am already gonna be cross-referencing some of these Rubik's Cubes to the other Rubik's Cubes here, because one, there isn't a lot. And I know a lot more other Rubik's Cubes are missing from this. But since again, it's quite a few, that's why I'm gonna cross-reference them with the others. Moving on, the GAN 356 I carry, and here's where the bias kicks in. I'm a GAN boy. I don't have money to buy GAN, and the Rubik's Cube that I'm using right now isn't GAN. But I adore GAN so much. Just from watching other people use it, just watching other people review it. GAN, the Rubik's Cubes they produce, just outright so satisfying to watch already. The customizability, the technology, the improvement. It's like the Apple of Rubik's Cube, as some might say. Wink wink. J-perm. Yes, forgive me for coughing, I'm still sick. Anyway, however though, to counteract the bias, in GAN, specifically for the GAN 356 I carry. And yes, I do know what 356 stands for. It means that it's, I believe, a 3x3 that's 56 by 56 by 56 centimeters, if I remember that correctly. If not, then lamaw, I guess. However, for the GAN 356 I carry specifically, I understand the I, because usually, for some reason, like, very techy stuff, question mark, include the I in them as well. Like, I remember having a Nintendo DSi back then, and to me it was pretty techy, and we have literally everything Apple, so it just proves the point that it's very Apple-y, the GAN brand. We have the iPad, the iPod, I don't know. I don't know a lot about Apple. I know it's expensive and good. Asterisk, I'm not sure. I'm not sure is in comparison with other brands, especially if you compare the highest of the high. But when in Rubik's Cube case, I think I know a decent amount to be a good judgment on the quality of GAN products. But we're not ranking these Rubik's Cubes in their performance, we're ranking them by name. So I'm gonna give the GAN 356 I carry. It's good. Maybe even okay. Because yeah, I carry the GAN, and I like the techie kind of implementation of the letter I. But it's just weird because I carry all of these. Well, I can carry all of these too. I'm not saying that I carry them because I don't have them. But yeah, I carry all of the other ones. The I is cool. I think without the carry, it would have been a good name. It would have been a better name than okay name. But the carry was unnecessary in my opinion. Now moving on, the GAN 13 Maglev UV. Now that's interesting in my opinion. Actually, I can also zoom this so you can see the names better of the Rubik's Cubes. There we go. There we go. I think this is much better to look at, right? I zoomed in the tab. Anyway, the GAN 13 Maglev UV, this is one of the GAN cubes recently, or a couple of years ago, since I quit, because I think this was one of the last Rubik's Cubes I got to see before like taking my leave on the speed cubing scene, and then doing and pursuing other stuff. And this is one of the first, I believe, to GAN cubes that didn't follow the standard 3-number system of the first number being what type of puzzle it is, like 356 being 3x3, and then the next two numbers, 5, 6, being the cube's dimension, which is 56 cubic centimeters, I believe. Actually, I'm not sure. I might be wrong with that. Yeah, I'm 100% wrong. Millimeters? Is it? No, it can't be. Wait. Then what is 56? I don't remember. But whatever. It's something like that. Regardless, it's one of the first GAN cubes that stepped away from the 356 to just having 13, a random number. I believe someone again. I believe someone already like tried going back into why it's 13. It's not even the 13th GAN cube. So I have no idea why it's 13. This is also kind of another case of me countering my own bias against GAN, because GAN is a pretty cool name already. Like I imagine a gun when I read GAN. So it already gives off a pretty big impact when I see its name. Also, it reminds me of the wonderful cubes that they produce. However, I can also like counter that by making it related to how they name their stuff. Like GAN in it of itself is pretty strong, but adding more names to the GAN, to the word GAN, just seems a bit unnecessary, like with Carrie earlier. And this time, the 13 is the only thing that I'm kind of iffy. Like, why 13? I have no idea, and I don't even think GAN is 13 years old, right? Yeah, I don't think it is. It's relatively young compared to 13 years, if I remember correctly. But other than the 13, I think it's a pretty cool name. It uses the word maglev. Like, yeah, there are other maglev cubes here too, like the Weilong WRM 2021 maglev. Dang, it's been 4 years? Or maybe it's just the version of the cube that's been turned into a maglev. I don't know, we'll get into that later. And for the first maglev in the list, I'll give it a pretty high score. And you know what? Since GAN 12 is already here, and just out of spite having a lower... no, not out of spite. I'm sorry. Just through naming conventions. Sorry you had to have this GAN 12 maglev UV. But I'm giving you a good name. Just because you had a lower number. And lower number means lower score. We ignore the 356. That's out of technicality. If we were actually following the numbers, 356 would be in way high tiers. Anyway, speaking of 356, here's one of the first GAN Rubik's Cubes that I actually got. It's the GAN 356 RS2. But for me, I used to have the GAN 356R, which is kind of far from actually being the RS2, because RS is a specific like branch away from R, and this again is a version 2, I believe. That's why it has 2 at the end. But this being very nostalgic to me. Oh wait, GAN 356 RS is also here. With that being said, if this was a legitimate tier list, I believe RS2 would place higher obviously than RS. But I think I'm gonna opt with putting GAN 356 RS2 into an okay name. It doesn't really have anything going for it. It has the company name, the GAN. It has its specs, 356. It being a 3x3 Rubik's Cube. I have no idea what 56 is. RS, that's the model. 2, that's the version. So it's okay. There's nothing like special with it. Especially if we compare it to maglev. That you know it's maglev. It's also UV coated specifically. And super. Well, that's just super, isn't it? Anyway, the RS3M V5. Speaking of the RS3M series. This one... oh my gosh, my voice. This one, I don't believe... Yeah, in this tier list specifically, there is no V4 below. It's specifically just the RS3M V5. So that makes it easier for us to discern actually where this is going. Because again, it's pretty lenient. It may be the version 5, but it isn't as super as the Super RS3M V2. So we're going in good name. It's good, but it's not in okay. Like, yeah, okay, sure. 356 I carry, 356 RS2. What? Not only is it long, I just realized too. It's also, yeah, it's either unnecessary or it's simple. It's simple, nothing going with its name, no gimmicks. Not super again. Next up in line, we have Huameng YS3M with a ball core specifically. It's been so long since I've encountered a Rubik's Cube that has a ball core, ever since having an original Rubik's Cube that's actually Rubik's Cube branded. The Rubik's Cube. And I'm now just realizing that this Rubik's Cube that we have on the tier list is specifically the Rubik's Speed. That's interesting. I might have to give that a high score later. But for now, I'm gonna focus on the Huameng YS3M. It's in the same category, I think, as the RS3M. But I wonder why is it Y? It's also Huameng. I believe they're in the speed cubing branding scene. There are also overlaps of certain companies. Like, there's a big company and then it splits off into different companies that then make their specific lineage of Rubik's Cubes too. But I think Huameng, actually I don't know, it might be the same scenario with the RS and the YS, but it's specifying that it also has a ball core. I'm pretty sure some of these are also like, they're not specifically called that, it's just this specific tier list calls them that. So I'm gonna give the Huameng YS3M ball core a good name. I don't know, the Y is, I feel like Y is using Y as a letter of itself instead of something you pronounce like in Chi. Y like looks so cool, but not cool enough to give it a cool name category. I'm giving it a good because it kind of got pulled down by the ball core. Like I'm also basing this off of what the tier list calls them, by the way. So moving on, we have another Super RS3M, specifically 2022. I'm kind of biased in this, and we've already established that anyway, but I really like names that incorporate dates in them, because it feels like, yes, something special definitely happened here, and this is one of the contributing factors into why there even is a special thing that happened there. And to me, that feels like, yeah, this guy, if we're talking about what happened in like the 2022 cubing scene, like this guy is a legend if we're talking about this and how it aged over the times. So it's a super, it's an RS3M, it sounds cool, the RS3M, it sounds like a code, and it has a date. For me, that's a pretty awesome name. Like, super, code, historical impact. And up next here, I've actually been saying this earlier with the GAN 356 RS2. The GAN 356 RS is very close to what I used to have, so that's why it gives me more of a sentimental, nostalgic vibe. That's why I'm giving it a good name instead of an okay name, because I didn't have to. And that's completely personal bias, and I don't think anyone can relate to this anyway. With the names, at least you can say that, oh yeah, the super sounds cool too, so that's why he's putting it up there, and cool name and awesome name. But specifically in ranking the RS series, I literally just went off of my own personal nostalgia. But there you have it. If you want to rank the names differently, then by all means, this is the name of the preset tier list. I originally had the idea to make my own tier list, but I figured it would take way too long. Even though I already had this idea in mind, I didn't want to use my time making a tier list when we already have this pre-made tier list that's pretty good on its own. I could have added more, but the time was better spent doing other just variety stuff, in my opinion. Anyway though, moving on to Diansheng MS3X. That's another cool name, incorporating X, just X and Y. Probably it's because it's touching the mathematical adoring side of me. When I hear like X and Y, I think about the X and Y coordinates, the Cartesian plane, algebra, It's also very codey. It's like a code that you can use, like calling MS3X to position this and that. Like, it sounds cool if you think about it. Like, think about it from a completely code name type of thing. Or maybe even like naming androids, like model MS3. Oh wait, that's kind of what we're already doing anyway. Coding the Rubik's cubes, not androids, but rather Rubik's cubes. And I think having a like this type of code name while having your home, like where you came from, the company you came from, like let's say we have Metabot number 8008 rollout. I think that's also pretty cool. That's why I'm gonna give the Dayansheng MS3X a cool name. In my opinion, it stands out. Even though we already have a lot of RS3M, YS3M, all those similar looking codes, that just means that all of these are connected, I think. And them being connected not only with their names, because look at this. This is Wameng, this is Dayansheng. That's clearly different. But the format in which the code is written, it's sort of like identifying plate numbers and vehicles. That's what makes them familiar. So you'd think, oh yeah, this definitely came from this place, and that car definitely came from that place. And if you see another car with a similar plate number, you'd think, oh, so they were made in that same place together. So that's what I think about these very similar looking codes, is that they all came from a similar place, yet their like product naming or like branding is different, and that's what discerns them, at least. And here we have the GAN Monster Go. Okay, quality wise, this is like the tangent. It's kind of weird how the quality is the tangent and the name is the main game. But quality wise, I believe the Monster Go just tries to mimic GAN at minimum. Not necessarily mimicking GAN in GAN levels, because one, that's too high. Two, there's already GAN, so why mimic when you can improve? But improving wise, I don't think the Monster Go necessarily improves. It more so gives its benefit in its price. It's still pretty pricey, I believe, but it's cheaper than GAN, obviously. Like most other speed cubing stuff are cheaper than GAN, but it's cheaper than GAN, but it mimics GAN's mechanism, is what I know. I've been far too gone in the cubing scene to know if that's correct, but that's from what I remember, which might be wrong. I'm already gonna say that. However, this being a Monster Go, okay, first of all, the word monster in it of itself is pretty awesome, especially recently with with some of the personal stuff that I've been doing outside of just variety. The word monster has been getting thrown a lot recently, especially with my friends, with Bash and Rick. The word monster has been being used quite frequently, so whenever we hear it, we're like, oh, that's pretty cool, like something awesome is about to take place because a monster is involved. But when I see monster and then I see a Rubik's Cube, like, so where's the monster? Like, this is a Monster Go, but where'd the monster go? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give it an okay name. Even back then, I believe this was one of the Rubik's Cubes that I also got to see before I left. Just a glimpse of it, like a couple Monster Go stuff, Monster GAN stuff. Immediately, one of the very first impressions that I already had anyway is, why monster? Like, why is it called monster? I can understand Wameng, Dayansheng, Weilong, which I don't. Yeah, here we have Weilong here. It's like the company name, but GAN is already a company name. So why monster and why go? Again with the carry, I can carry any of these Rubik's Cubes. I can also go like go outside with any of these Rubik's Cubes. So why go? And why monster? Is it monsters in its quality? I don't think so. We have the GAN 13 Maglev UV. We also have the GANna XS, which I don't think we have here. The GAN 11 Pro is here though, the GAN 11M Pro. And this was one of also the Rubik's Cubes that I really liked watching back then. Just people reviewing because it looked so cool. I used to want to have one. The GAN X and XS series were also some of the older Rubik's Cubes back then that I wanted to have. That I didn't get to because again, it was really expensive. Anyway, the Valk 3 Elite M. This is pretty close to what I have actually. What I have is the YJMGC Elite M. I think. I'm not sure with the Elite. But yeah, I am pretty sure that it is the YJMGC M or Elite M. And I think it's pretty similar to the Valk 3 Elite M. I'm not speaking when in terms of internals. Because again, we're ranking them by name. And I think the name Valk is pretty strong. It invokes a strong image in my head. And having used a pretty similar Rubik's Cube to Valk 3 Elite M's quality, I think putting a pretty strong word here, such as Valk, is pretty fitting. Not only that, it's also elite. So you know you're in the top leagues when you're using this. But for me, I don't think I am. In the speed cubing scene, I'm like a slug. I'm like a slug going in slow-mo, which is extra slow. That's why I think the Valk 3 Elite M is very deserving of a cool name, because it invokes the strong image. Anyway, for the Chi M Pro, it's pretty basic. It gives you what it is with, or the brand name, which is Chi. It shows you that it's magnetic with an M. I believe that's what all of the other M's are for anyway, showing that it's magnetic. But I'm also pretty sure that any of that these Rubik's Cubes that have M in it don't even have variants that don't have M in it, because magnets have been such a staple for a really long time now that it's basically there no matter what. So having the M is more of like an indicator of the era that it's in. So I'm not particularly sure if I'm going to rank M. The Pro though, like yeah, it's a Pro version, I believe, of this version of the Rubik's Cube. It's a brand name. I'm not counting the M, and then Pro. So it's like brand name Pro. What is that, in my opinion? There's no model that like here. At least we have RS. Here we have the code RS3M or like YS3M to avoid confusion with GAN's RS. At least we also have a product name here with Monster Go. But for Chi M Pro, really don't have anything going for it. Up next is the Dian Guhong Pro M. The Dian Guhong, I believe the Dian Guhong is its company name, and it falls under the similar field as it's a Pro version of the product name. What's its version? What's its code? Or anything? And again, with the M, not only that, the placement of the M is also pretty inconsistent. Here it's in the middle, here it's at the last part. But I don't think they're in the similar boat. They're not made by the same company, or at least the sub-company. I believe they're different. However, this being a longer name, I in my head, I want this to be like better than the Chi M Pro, but not good enough to go to the okay name. I'm still giving it a what, because what is it a Pro version of? It's just a brand name Pro. And do not tell me that this is the only Rubik's Cube that this company has made, because I'm pretty sure Chi is a pretty well-known name already that made a lot of other Rubik's Cubes beforehand. So I'm putting this here. And then up next we have another GAN product, the GAN 354MV2. It's another case of the version It has the version 2, and this one is 54, so I believe it is smaller. And the GAN M series, regardless of its size, is pretty good. I had a classmate before that had a 354M TOO2, not as in a version 2. And when I use it, it's pretty light. 2, it's pretty fast because it's light. And I guess it's the specific lube that he put in, the GAN lube that he put in. That's why it also felt very, very fast on the fingers. And whenever I use it, I always kept getting reminded of how this is what it would feel like to speed cube without like brakes. Because you can think about magnets as one, snapping feature, but also two, as a slowing mechanism to add resistance. Because there's friction for the Rubik's Cube, you can remove that using lube. But my classmate specifically also had the magnets set to the lowest setting. That's why it's mostly for snapping after you finish the solve, just to avoid +2 or a potential DNF, which is pretty rare. But still, it didn't add much resistance to the Rubik's Cube. That's why I felt that it was just pretty fast. But that's for the quality. Again, a tangent, we're going off of names. This, I like it. It's definitely a good name, because considering what we've put in the okay name and the what tier, I think I can confidently say that having at least a model version, like here we have the specs, here we have the model, I know the M, and I refuse to believe that this is just M. And we have a version. So I'm putting this at good name. I'm tempted though to put this at the top of okay name, but it's sort of like in the middle. But I'll give it a benefit because bias towards GAN. For Weilong WRM 2021 Maglev though, it has a name. Oh no, it has a branding name. Its version, I believe, WRM, which also looks like it can be read as worm, which is funny. And then 2021, another date. And it's specifically Maglev. I like the name Maglev. I love the word Maglev because I'm also very scientifically attracted to the idea of magnetic levitation and just the science behind it. My inner nerd showing out. That's why I also rank X and Y their respective ranks right now. And it having Maglev and a pretty funny model name Worm, also a date, I think that's pretty cool. It's more goofy than awesome, but I'll give it its credit and put it at cool name. The Super Weilong, on the other hand, has nothing going for it other than the fact that it has super and obviously its necessary branding of Weilong, because you can't have a Rubik's Cube name without its brand name. So yeah, I just glossed over what we already tiered. So it is just a super and then name. And I gotta give it for it being so bold with how it named itself. It's just a super brand name. Super Mario. I'm biased. It's pretty bold. It's out there. No specs, no version, no code, no anything. Just a super version of the brand name. That alone is pretty funny. But it's not like goofy. It's awesome how it did that. It didn't have to. Actually, I don't think it should have did that. If this was a more serious name tier list as well, it might have also gotten probably a cool name. But still, the fact that it's just a super. We're basically just ranking the word super at this point. There's literally nothing in here that we can talk about. Super Weilong. Weilong is also a pretty cool name, but out of technicality, kind of. It's just a brand name, so I'm mostly going off of super. Because if I just go off of Weilong, then this is just be a a tier list of names still, but mostly on brand names. And I don't want to do that because I have no idea what some of these mean, because I feel like some of these names like Huameng, Dainsheng, Weilong have like meanings attached to them, and I don't want to go around ranking something that I don't know. At least here we can take them at face value and take everything into consideration, so at least it's in fair playing field. And the GAN 356M is a good example of that, because again we have the simple brand name, the model, or the specs rather. 356 is a 3x3 and 56 something. Model M, I think when I saw this back then, I thought like it's basically a GAN 356X but less. Or I might be wrong too. It might be XM and then XS. But from what I remember, it was MX and then XS. So this feels less when especially you have the idea of an X floating around and an XS. It's not here though. But the fact that I know about there being an X and XS makes the M of the GAN 356M feel a bit too weak. And it's another one of those cases where it's like there's just an M there. It's an indicator of an era of using magnets, sure, but other than that, it's another GAN 356. It would have been better if it had X as a name. XS, actually, you know, if X and XS were here, I would have put X probably in cool name and XS actually in good name, because XS sounds like extra small. One, it's not extra small. Two, having an extra small Rubik's Cube might just be annoying when it comes to speed cubing, and I don't want to think about a Rubik's Cube that's extra small. That sounds like a keychain, which there is. And I would love to think about Rubik's Cubes being this, like, dang, like it's there, like it's iconic, you know what it is, you know what people do with it, and it has a pretty big impact. The XS name would go in probably good or okay name. The X on the other hand though sounds awesome, because when you think about it, it's extra GAN. Also X-Men, like just the letter X is pretty impactful in and of itself, so it's kind of cheating, especially with the Dainsheng MS3X. The JV Cube would be cool, yeah. But there was already, I'm not sure if it's still a thing, but I believe there used to be a J-Perm Cube. And the J-Perm, nothing to do with me by the way, that's a different YouTuber that goes under the name of J-Perm, that reviews Rubik's Cubes, goes to speed cubing competitions, etc, etc. He's way better than me, but there is already like a series of other Rubik's Cubes that are named after YouTubers. So the JV Cube is a plausible, like in terms of thinking about naming a Rubik's Cube, it is technically like let's say in a very vast distant timeline, a JV Cube technically would be possible. Like imagine a timeline where I just do cubing content, and then much like J-Perm, I get my own cube and then I name it the JV Cube. The Just Variety Cube I think would be too long. Yeah, those names. I'm like getting put back into my younger self, like from 5 years ago or 6 years ago, when I was still way into Rubik's Cubes. Yes, those names. Oh, I believe they also had Rubik's Cubes of their own. It's pretty cool, and it's very sometimes I still watch them. Yeah. The Go Cube though, I'm pretty sure it's similar to the GAN 356 I carry. In terms of quality, this again is a tangent. And for the Go Cube, it's pretty simple. It's a one-off thing, I believe. If there's a version 2 then that I don't know about, then I would assume it would just be the Go Cube V2. I actually think there might be a successor to the Go Cube. But in this in this preset tier list, I think the Go Cube as a standalone is pretty cool. If it did have a V2, in my opinion, it would save me ranking Go Cube a lower tier if the successor to the Go Cube had a name more like Go Cube V2, because then it would be faithful to just being the lineage of a Rubik's Cube that can connect to your phone way before the iCarry, and specifically just for the Go Cube. 110% for the Tornado V3. We'll take a look at that later. Oh, but there's also Tornado V2. There's no just Tornado though, which is pretty interesting. So let's start into ranking the Tornadoes actually, and put Go Cube in a pretty cool name. I'll admit, in a entirely speed cubing standpoint though, based from the reviews I've seen and how Go Cube was used, I believe Go Cube is a pretty not good Rubik's Cube, especially for speed cubing. Like, at least it's better than a Rubik's Cube. The Rubik's Cube branded Rubik's Cube. But anyway, we're ranking them off of names, not performance, not quality, versatility, whatever. All those we throw those out of the window long ago. So the Go Cube, it's a pretty simple name, no branding though, which I'm okay with. The Go Cube is a pretty cool concept, like it, without it looking like a tech name. I can still see it, also imagine it as a tech name. Like, yeah, if you told me Go Cube, I would probably think, with me not knowing what Rubik's Cubes are, or maybe even specifically just the Go Cube, if you go up to me and tell me about the Go Cube, then, or just the Go Cube name, I think I would imagine a Rubik's Cube, or a cube that has a certain gimmick to it. Even though Go isn't doing a lot here, even if you just added like a random short word before cube, I think oh, there's probably something that adds a gimmick to this cube that I'm hearing about. Well, we'll take a see later. It's still not ranked right now though. I'm going from left to right. And here, finally, we have the Tornado V2. The Tornado, I'm not sure what its branding is, its brand name. It might actually be Tornado. And if that's the case, and there's no other lineage of the Tornado brand, and all of its subsequent, succeeding, and preceding Rubik's Cubes are just Tornado, maybe with some modifications to its code, if we specify, this is just entirely for example's sake, like Tornado UV V2 or V2 UV, that would be okay with me, because in that we can see a very clear timeline of the Tornado cubes. Let's say Tornado V2, and then branch out to left and or right, UV, Mat, whatever, and then V3, V4, V5. It wouldn't be the similar case to GAN, where it's GAN 356, R 356, M 356, X 356, XS 13, 12, 14, whatever. It's not clear. We use numbers to indicate we can use numbers to indicate integral order, as opposed to them literally just being for codes. So if that is the case, then the Tornado V2, simple name, it's just a brand name with its version, and I don't see any other Tornado adjacent cubes here. So I will believe right now that it is just a stepping stone for the next and before that it's just showing the order of the tornado cubes. It has no specs, no specs, no codes, no anything. It's a pretty good name. It's solid. It's not bad, and it can be cooler with the super. Literally just super. I just realized that all of the awesome names that I've given so far literally just won mostly because of super. But to be fair as well, Super Rs 3M only got cool name. However, it is at the top of the cool name tier. Awesome name. For popularity's vote, I'm gonna give it a cool name. There we have it. Let's average out our votes, Esther. I'll give it a cool name because if it managed to impress someone, then it should be good. It might be subjective into my perspective, but I'm still like part of the audience, and the audience can also speak. Even though this is specifically my opinions, it can still like speak through me and then influence my decisions. So in my opinion, the fact that it gave off such a strong impression to the audience, that then it must be good. And we're not even basing this off of quality, performance, or anything anyway. So that removes the idea of at least putting a bit of objectivity to it. It is purely subjective. Anyway, the GANna 11M Pro, it's in the same lineage as the GAN 12, I believe, and the 13. It's obviously a unit below whatever this unit is, the 12, 13, 11. However, I'm putting it below these two specifically because as a joke earlier, we put GAN 12 below 13, even despite having literally basically the same name, because it was one unit below 13. It was lesser of a number. So in that sense, I give it a below cool name, the GAN 12. And I'm gonna use the same logic again, but even if we disregard that, earlier I ranked 13 as a standalone a pretty high tier because of the word maglev and UV. Like the inner science nerd in me is very like intrigued whenever I hear the word maglev and UV. But the GANna 11M Pro, it falls prey to a lot of stuff. 11, what is that? It's lower, it's a random number. The M, again with the inconsistencies, with like how I said the word inconsistency, of where is it going? Like it's always in the in the GAN, in the GAN series, the letter is always after its model number or its spec number. So that's at least consistent. But again, just having M thrown in there is more of like an indicator of the era that we're in right now, where we're using magnets, just magnets. The biggest breakthrough probably in like all of the history of speed cubing, magnets. And clearly we can see that in maglev technology. But GANna 11M Pro, no maglev in it, and has the ambiguous M in it. And it's a lower number. I'm giving it an okay name. So your prediction is right, Ezra. That though, I wasn't influenced. We're both on the same page on that one. The Weilong WRM V9, on the other hand, is a V9. That struck me immediately. It's a V9. That means it's been done at least 9 times already, and that's pretty good with the prior explanation that I already said, with Rubik's Cube namings having the version and then using the nominal way of using the numbers of ordering them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 until 9, at least for Weilong the WRM V9. It also has a pretty pretty funny name again, the Worm. I don't even know what WRM means. World Record Magnetic. And again, it's ball core. It is UV2 though, and for how simple UV are, being close letters to each other and also meaning ultraviolet, I think with its coding, UV coding. The ball core is a bit like weird though, but again, it's a worm and it's a V9, so I would assume that the name was kept consistent along 9 iterations of the Weilong WRM. The ball core UV, though unnecessary but given in this preset tier list, is also it's also good. It's not bad. It's not pulling the name down. So I'm gonna give it credit, and I'm gonna put our very first non-super awesome name, just because it has at least the amount of dedication to commit to the same name, but every time you upgraded it, just increase the number of the version. So props in like a meta way of naming these things. So we're not just naming things. We're not just tiering these on face value names. We're starting to get into the meta levels now. So that's how you know this is a competitive naming scene. I'm just kidding. But it would be interesting to see, like, probably as a joke or maybe like semi-seriously, other professional speed cubers like tier Rubik's Cubes as well, based on their names, not based on their performance. That might be pretty funny to see. Actually, I haven't checked if any other people have done this before. It's a pretty funny idea. I had this idea like at the same time I thought about doing the handcam stream of speed solving. So I've yet to check if any other person has done this. Moving on though. Still in the Weilong series, we have the Weilong WRM 2020. This kind of disobeys what I thought about the V9 though, that it just kept on with the versions. However, it might still be in the same lineage, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until 9, but specifically the 2020 is just probably like a substrate version of the Weilong WRM. It's not supposed to be like a standalone trying to branch off on its own, and we can see that with the 2020. Also, good that this has a version, the V, not just the WRM9, because this specifies that it's a version of a series of Weilong WRMs, and this specifically is a Weilong WRM 2020 version. So it gives off that impression that it's a vintage, and again with the explanation I gave for the date on the Super RS3M 2022, it having a date makes me think about how when we're thinking about 2020 and the speed cubing scene, we can like think about, oh, the Weilong WRM was there, like it was one of the things that was happening. I'm not sure just how impactful it was though, but I'll still give it some credit. It's a cool name, it has the date, it's very faithful to the original naming Weilong WRM. It's simple, it has a code, whatever that means. It's not as all over the place as GAN 356's code. Like, yeah, we know what 356 means. I forgot though. I used to know. But yeah, we know the GAN 356. However, it can kinda get inconsistent, especially with the 11, 12, and 13 rolling out. And also they're having a 354. Where is it? Did I miss it? Wait. Yeah, oh, here we go. The GAN 354M V2. So I think it would be better if we just forfeit the 354 because we know what we're buying. It's a 3x3. It has these dimensions. Just show them the model. And then for the model, if you're gonna improve it, add a version, which is what they did. Pretty good on MV2. But yeah, why the 11, 12, 13 switch up? And continuing that line, we have the GAN 14 Maglev UV. we really don't have anywhere else to go here for the GAN teenagers Maglev UV. We already had 11, 12, 13. 12, 13 basically have the same name as 14, and strictly going off of their number hierarchy, I'm gonna give 14 an awesome name. And I don't know, 14, it's not a prime number. It's divisible by 2. And I'm not gonna go into specifics of debating which number is awesome, which number is not. So I'm just putting this as simple as I can. We're just counting up when it comes to the GAN Teenager series. Plus 11 and 12. The GAN 11, 12, 13, and then 14 for awesome name. But I would like to have 14 at the bottom part of awesome name if we did add more. Speaking of GAN, we have just GAN 356, open close parentheses, Maglev. It's faithful to the original. It's like, if I already knew about 11, 12, 13, 14, or specifically just 12, 13, 14, them being Maglev, and then you showed me 356 Maglev, I don't know the history of these now, by the way. I'm not sure if which one came before what or which came after. Like 11, I would assume 11, 12, 13, 14 came one after another. But 356 Maglev, I have no idea when this came out. But the fact that it's faithful to the original naming convention of the GAN 356s, I'm gonna give it the same level as 12. It's good, it's solid. I would say it's the same as 356 RS, where it's just that. It's solid, it's good, no comments. I have no idea how to improve that or to downgrade it, like what would make it worse. I guess adding more unnecessary names to it would make it way too long, more than it needs to be, so it gets put down. But it being Maglev, I'm okay with 12 and 356 Maglev being on the same tier, but 356 being lower, because at least 11, 12, 13, 14 now follows somewhat of lineage, just increasing the teen number by 1. But them both having the word Maglev really intrigues me, so that's why I'm gonna put it in good name. It's good. And here we have the RS3M 2020. Same scenario with the Weilong WRM 2020. We have already rated other RS3Ms, but again, this is Super RS3M. Might I remind you, that was one of the first ones we ranked, if not the first one we ranked, and we really just put it at cool name, mostly because of Super. And that was already pretty funny. However, this removes the Super and instead replaces it with a date. And I think the Super is better, obviously. Like, come on, it's Super. It's better than just having a date. I'm not putting just in just having a date, because I still think that putting dates in names is pretty epic. Don't overdo it though. That's what makes it special, in my opinion. But I don't know, it feels pretty bare bones, this one. And this is where insane bias comes in, because it's basically the same format as Weilong WRM 2020, where it's a brand name, date, or at least model date. It's the same thing, but I wanna have this like probably in the highest good name or in the lowest cool name. You know what? It's not as cool. Okay, in this tier list, I guess position matters. I'm gonna rank it above V5. It has a date, and I was about to argue how, look, the Rubik's Cube is kind of in an astronaut suit. That's pretty cool. It looks pretty goofy. A Mogus reference, guys. But no, let's stick to names. I don't want to get swayed by these pictures or those quality and performance stuff that those other YouTubers talk about. And with that, we have 3 left. Our third runner-up, Rubik's Speed. This one, I've been eyeing. I've been excited to talk about this. It's not long, the explanation that I'm gonna give. But I just want to say how the word Rubik's Cube has been thrown a lot in this stream. And for a reason. Because Rubik's Cube is such a name. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, Rubik's Cube is such a staple that when you hear it, you know what it is. Rubik's Speed, on the other hand, as a name, it sounds like it's a step up or like a different genre to Rubik's Cube. Now we're not just cubing, now we're speed cubing. So the Rubik's Speed, in my opinion, like a very great use of the familiarity of the word Rubik's Cube or the term Rubik's Cube because of how familiar it is. Just if you hear the word Rubik's, you immediately think of his cube. So why not utilize that and include a speed? So that's how you know that it's a speed cube meant for speed cubers. It's not buy just any budget speed cube that's better than a Rubik's Speed in my opinion. But name-wise, it's pretty awesome in my opinion. Up next, we have the Tornado V3. We already ranked V2 earlier, and much like with the GANs, I'm not putting any much more thought than this needs. It's just a step up from the V2 into V3. It being a higher name gets a higher rank, and I think it's deserving of an awesome name. I mean, it's a tornado. When you think about tornadoes, what do? They spin wind pretty fast. What do you do when you're speed cubing? You spin layers pretty fast. So Tornado V3, you get an awesome name. That's pretty cool, the word tornado. And our last one, oh man, the GAN SB355S. I have never heard of this GAN before. And based from the picture, it doesn't even look like it has a GAN logo on it, which is kind of sus. Sorry. Excuse me. I muted for a quick bit there to cough. I forgive you for her almost coughing directly into the mic, but I tilted my head a bit so that I cough on my wrist. Anyway, I'm gonna clean that up because we're about to finish the stream soon anyway. And here, our cherry for our big dessert of a stream. Or big, like, what's a goofy fun dessert to eat? Like, I don't know. The first thing that came into mind was crepes, because crepes, like, I don't know. I'm not going into this tangent, but I just kind of want to say that when I first thought of goofy fun desserts, I thought about crepes. Anyway, this, I guess in that analogy, would be our cherry on top of this goofy fun crepe. I'm speechless. Not speechless good though, speechless bad, because if this is the cherry, and I am not fond of cherries, so if I were to rank a cherry in our tier list, I'd put GAN SB355S in a what? Because that's my reaction. It quite literally encapsulates how I feel about this. Because what? It doesn't have a GAN logo. I know we're not basing it off of looks, but really? It's GAN, but it doesn't have a GAN logo. Looks sus. This is the first time I've heard of it. And what's SB supposed to mean? Lead? Is it even lead, SB? Yeah, I believe because SN is thin, right? Yeah, what is SB supposed to be? Lead? And 355S? Are you saying like it's in between 5'4" and 5'6"? And what does S mean? Like, we have RS here. We also have RS here. And I guess I never really talked about what could S mean. And not only that, actually, I'm now just realizing this too. SB comes before 355. What? So that's my reaction. I don't like cherries. And the cherry on top of the stream, GANna SB355S, is no exceptions. I did not enjoy that final name. However, that is it though. Here's our full tier list. Totally legit and viable, open close parentheses, not speed cubing tier list. Entirely based off of names. Oh, asterisk and then footnote. Entirely based off of it's their names. You know that it's just a joke tier list when you have Rubik's Speed in the highest tier. On the same level, beside actually GAN 14 Maglev UV. That's how you know this is just a joke tier list. And there you have it. I think I'm pretty satisfied with how I tiered this. We have the numbered GAN cubes leveling up one after another to the max at awesome names. So eventually their lineage did get the respect that they, I guess, deserve, because they're clearly an awesome name, and I do think they're awesome. And then V2 and V3 also doing the same thing as the GAN series. I think this is a pretty... I would give this tier list a good tier. A good tier. This tier list. And that's it for today's stream though. Pretty short one because I am still trying to recover from sickness and there is a bit of construction going on, and that was actually one of the things that I was pertaining to at the start of the stream, which is why I am cutting this stream short. And actually, we didn't even do any cutting. We just made the crepe. We took a look at the cherry. I didn't like it. That's why I threw it to the side. I'm not throwing it away. That would be wasteful because some other person can eat it. Don't worry. It's not sick with my disease. And I think I'm already getting cured anyway. We'll see tomorrow. For this stream though, I'm ending it. That was a pretty interesting stream, I gotta admit. So, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be playing Overcooked. We're already putting my body into overdrive by tomorrow. We'll see how that turns out. For this stream though, bye everyone. Thank you for visiting. That was pretty interesting. Bye bye. Take care.